Hello there, a very good evening and welcome to another edition of Primetime News on TV1. I'm Charlotte Benedict for the Newsfirst team.
And I'm Rochelle Tumodar. Let's start off with a look at our headlines for tonight.
Malwatu Mahanayak quizzes Indian envoy on Indo-Sri Lanka bridge connectivity and crime concerns. India firm to develop LNG-based power plant in Keravalapitia. Two MPs from the same alliance, Velukumar and Digambaram, clash on Shakti TV's Summer. Dinesh Gunawardena to lead new faction of MPs leaving SLPP. Mass organizations announce support for Sajid. Anura outlines agricultural plan to uplift farmers. Ex-Health Minister Kehelia sued for compensation after 3 blinded by inferior medicine.
Starting off with a look at those stories in detail now. The most venerable Tibbatuave, Sri Sumangala Thera, the Mahanayaka of the Malwatu chapter of the Siam sect, raised concerns with the Indian High Commissioner Santosh Jha regarding the potential impact of the proposed bridge between Sri Lanka and India. The discussion took place during High Commissioner Jha's meeting with the Mahanayaka Thera.
The Mahanayak Thera questioned the High Commissioner regarding the proposed bridge between Sri Lanka and India.
तो बहुत ही लंबा प्रोजेक्ट है वो आज तो बन के तैयार नहीं होगा उसमें अभी काम शुरू हुआ है पर अभी बहुत काम बाकी है
අපේ හඳුනන්නේ මේක මේ අද හෙට ඉවර කරන්න පුළුවන් ව්‍යාපෘතියක් නෙමෙයි මේක සැලසුම් කරන්න සාකච්ඡා කරන්න විතර තව අවුරුදු දෙකක්වත් ගත වෙයි. ඒ හින්දා මේක දීර්ඝ ක්‍රියාවලියක්. ගොඩක් අය කියනවා මේක ඉන්දියාවට වාසිදායකයි ලංකාවට අවාසි එහෙම කියලා. හැබැයි එහෙම නැහැ. මේක ලංකාවට වාසියක් නිසා අවාසියක් වෙන වැඩක් නෙමෙයි. ඒක ඔබ වහන්සේ වගේ උගත් විද්වත් සභාවන් අය මේක මහ ජනතාව අතරට ගිහිල්ලා පුළුවන් නම් පරිදි දෙන්න ඕනේ. මේකෙන් කිසිම හානියක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ කියලා. එතකොට මේ තුලින් ශ්‍රී ලංකාවට අලුතෙන් මුදල් ගලා එනවා. විවිධ ව්‍යාපෘතීන් එනවා, අලුත් වැඩ එනවා. මේකේ පාර්ලිමේ වැඩ කරන්න තියෙනවා. ඒ කරන වැඩසටහන වල ඔක්කොම ශ්‍රී ලංකාව සම්බන්ධලා තමයි වැඩ කරන්නේ. ඉතින් දෙයක් නෑ.
नहीं बहुत आपका प्यार है ना वो हम ले जाएंगे
ගොඩක් දේවල් කියනවලු ඔබ වහන්සේගේ ආදරය අපිට අරන් යන්න පුළුවන්ලු මෙහෙ නම්
දැන් ඔය කේරළ ගංජායි උච්චර එනවද එනත් කරමු ඔවා ඉතින් පාසුකම් සැලසනකොට ඒවා වැඩි විතර දැන් ඉතින් තියෙනවා නැවුද කොහෙද තියෙනවා නේද මේ දැන් දෙහාට යන්නේ අපි උඩ මාර්ගයක් නැතුව ඔය තියෙන මාර්ගයේ ගිවිසුම් ගහලා තියෙන රජයත් ඒ විදිහට
දැනට අපේ හඳුන්නේ එහෙම විශේෂ දෙයක් සිදුලා නැහැලු සාකච්ඡා මට්ටමේම තියෙනවා.
The Most Venerable Thera raised concerns on how the connectivity bridge will affect the relations between the two countries.
එහෙම කිසිම ප්‍රශ්නයක් වෙන්නේ නැහැලු අපේ හඳුන්නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ කවුරු අගමැති වුණත් ඒ වුණත් ඒ ඉන්දියාවට තියෙන බැඳීම කවදාකවත් ඒක නැති වෙන්නේ නැහැ.
और दूसरा ये कहना है ना कि चोर जो है ना वो दरवाजे से नहीं आता
මෙහෙම කියවලක් තියෙනවා අපේ හාමුදුරනේ හොරු වෙන්නේ දොර අරගෙන නෙමෙයි හොරු වෙන්නේ ජනේලෙන් පැනලා. ඉතින් හොරු වෙනකොට මේ පාලම හැදුව කියලා පාලම උඩින් නීතිමය විදියට එන්නේ නැහැ. දැනුත් එන හොරු අර එහෙම මෙහෙන් පැන පැන එනවා කියලා තමයි මට කියන්න දෙන්නේ. ඒ හින්දා මේකේ අපි පාලම හදන එක ගැන ඒ කියන්නේ සැකයක් තියාගන්න අවශ්‍ය නැහැ. මේකේ ඒ විදිහට වෙන්නේ නැහැ කියලා හොරවැඩ වෙන්නේ පාසුයි.
The Indian High Commissioner also paid a visit to the Most Venerable Varakagoda Sri Ratna Thera, the Mahanayaka of the Askeri chapter of the Siam sect.
So after the big economic crisis, Sri Lanka now has will be held presidential election in the next September. What do you think about it?
we don't have to say anything about it. It is Sri Lankan people's choice, and Sri Lanka will decide, and we will respect whatever the Sri Lankan people decide. So we work with the government, which is chosen by the Sri Lankan people. Our friendship is primarily with all of Sri Lanka, all of Sri Lankan people.
Sri Lanka inked a memorandum of understanding with India's Petronet LNG for the development of infrastructure, including the supply of liquefied natural gas for the Sobhadavani power plant in Keravalapitia, which is under construction.
The signing of a memorandum of understanding between the Ceylon Transformer Company and India's Petronet LNG took place in Colombo. This agreement focuses on the development of infrastructure, including the supply of liquefied natural gas for the Sobhadavani power plant in Keravalapitia. The MOU signed in Colombo ensures that the necessary LNG will be supplied to the Sobhadavani plant. The agreement outlines plans for the storage and supply of LNG with an interim solution involving a floating LNG storage facility until the basic infrastructure is completed. The signing ceremony was attended by several key figures, including Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijesekara, Deputy High Commissioner of India to Sri Lanka Dr. Satyanjal Pandey, and Secretary of the Ministry of Power and Energy Dr. Sulakshana Jayawardena.
With regard to the Sobhadavani power plant, CAP named it as a LNG power plant, emphasizing necessity of LNG for Sri Lanka's energy sector. Usually power plants are not called as LNG power plant, but even the tender itself called as LNG power plant, so it gave us a emphasis to bring LNG to the country. With Sobhadavani and upcoming Sahasranami, this LNG2 power plant, we are now looking for a potential capacity of 1000 megawatt for LNG in Sri Lanka in a single location, creating a firm, sizable demand and therefore attention of investors for introduction of LNG to the country.
We understand that for the renewable power, which is cyclic in nature and balancing the national gas grid, requires the natural gas based power plant. This phenomena is happening all across the world, and if you have a very large capacity of renewable power where the power factors are substantially lower than the conventional power generating unit, the natural gas based power plant is a best options for stabilizing the grid. So this is really a very good move for switching over to the natural gas fuel for already dual fuel power plant installed.
There are other uses that we can contribute from the supply. We can look at the logistics, we can look at the bunkering aspects of it, LNG bunkering, LNG for the use of households, LNG for the use of domestic requirements. So these are some of the avenues that will open up with the signing of this MOU, not just the power generation for the power stations that are operated by LTL Holdings. Of course, the immediate impact would be, now with this signing, we hope that the 18-month timeline or the time frame is strictly adhered to, and that we have the infrastructure and the supply ready at least by the beginning of 2026, so that our power plants are ready to generate power from LNG. That will significantly bring down the cost of energy. Right now, what we spend on energy in terms of diesel powered power stations is about 106 or 110 rupees a unit. The next best option is HF or heavy fuel oil or naphtha power generation, but which is also still expensive than the LNG power plants. So we hope when the power stations operate from LNG that we can bring down the cost by at least about 40 to 50% and give that advantage to the consumers and bring down the cost of energy in Sri Lanka.
This development follows a previous agreement signed during the last government with New Fortress of America, which also included provisions for LNG supply to the Sobadanavi power plant. However, that project has yet to be implemented.
Sri Lanka decides. Sri Lanka decides.
Members of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, who support independent President Ranil Wickremesinghe, have announced plans to establish a new political party. Now, this decision was revealed today at a gathering in Colombo today, attended by nearly 100 SLPP members.
The meeting was chaired by Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena and Minister Prasanna Ranatunga. MPS Bedisanayaka, speaking at a press conference following the meeting, confirmed that Prime Minister Gunawardena will lead the new party during the upcoming presidential election.
I feel sorry for Namal. He can't even place fifth. Despite President Mahinda Rajapaksa's monumental achievement of ending 30 years of terrorism in this country, he originally suggested that we should not contest and support Ranil. However, when time came for his son to contest, he had no choice but to step forward. We have stepped out of the SLPP. The necessary groundwork for this new alliance is already in place. We are forming an alliance with Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena as the leader. All other parties joining the alliance will be incorporated into this framework. The constitution for the alliance has been prepared and we are ready to move forward.
සමුජන බලවේගයෙන් ඉදිරියේදී ඔබතුමාලට කී දිනක් විතර සහයෝගය දෙන්න එනවා කියලා තියෙනවද?
ඡන්ද පදනමක් තියෙන පිරිහිච්ච නැති පාර්ලිමේන්තු මන්ත්‍රීවරු 5-6 දෙනෙක් ස්ථීර වශයෙන්
ඒක නිශ්චිතයි.
ඔය නිශ්චිතවම වෙනවා.
එතන රත්නපුරේ කෙනෙකුත් ඉන්නවද?
පැහැදිලිවම ඉන්නවා. ඔය ගැන හෙට අනිද්දා වෙනකොට දැනගන්න පුළුවන් වෙයි.
දැන් මේ හදන නව සංධානය හදලා දරාදුරනේ දිනලා ඊට පස්සේ ඒක පක්ෂයක් බවට පත් කළාද ඉදිරි මහමැතිවරණදී ඔබතුමාලා පෙනෙන්නේ?
මම හිතන්නේ අපි හදන සංධානය తీරයි.
We believe that after President Ranil Wickremesinghe's victory, the leadership of our alliance will lead us to success together. Even now, he is leading us. We have all come together, expanded the alliance and established Ranil Wickremesinghe as our leader with Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena as chairman. We are confident that we will lead the next government strongly.
Minister Prasanna Ranatunga elaborated on the split within the SLPP.
As representatives of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, we want to clarify that we remain loyal to our party. We have not left. The Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, which holds the majority, believes that Ranil Wickremesinghe is the right choice for president in this election. Some are questioning what will happen if they remove us from the party. We intend to end our alliance on Tuesday and have formed a new one along with another party. If the party no longer wants us, we won't force ourselves to stay. We are preparing an alternative plan. Throughout our political journey, we have made mistakes. When in opposition, we have worked to unite everyone. But once in power, the focus often shifts to family interests. This cycle repeats. The family gains power, misuses it, and then returns to the opposition. We have fought hard, but this is the recurring pattern. I campaigned across the country to build this government. After our victory in 2019, Gotabaya Rajapaksa became president, Mahinda Rajapaksa our prime minister, and Basil Rajapaksa our finance minister. Minister Chamal and Namal also served in the cabinet alongside me. But when it came to the fertilizer issue, decisions were made without our input. As a result, we lost the support of farmers, teachers and workers. I personally faced significant challenges. For instance, during our government's tenure, someone from my constituency was killed in Katunayaka when we introduced a labour law. 5 people were also killed in Ratupaswala when they attempted to protect Dhammika Perera's factory. Despite our efforts to empower the people, we are left wondering if our leaders have truly protected us. Gotabaya fled the country, leaving a leadership vacuum. Our leaders then handed over the reins to Ranil Wickremesinghe. Not us, the Rajapaksa family did. Now, 2.5 years later, as the presidential election approaches, we cannot in good conscience claim that the leader who rebuilt this country is no longer relevant.
Leader of the Podujana Peramuna, Mahinda Rajapaksa, responded to questions from journalists regarding parliamentarians leaving the SLPP.
අපිට පුරුදුයිනේ. මට හොඳට පුරුදුයි පැත්ත. ළඟ ඉඳලා අනිත් පැත්ත කනේ ඉඳලා අඟ කනවා කියන්නේ ඒ වගේ කට්ටිය ගොඩක් ඉන්නවා.
දැන් ඔබතුමාලට සහයෝගය දෙන පිරිස කොහොමද පාර්ශ්වවල එකතු වුණාද කොහොමද?
නෑ සියලු දෙනා එකතු වෙලා තියෙනවා දැනට. අපි අනිවාර්යයෙන් ජයග්‍රහණය කරනවා.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa made these comments after visiting the most venerable Makulave Sri Vimala Mahanayak Thera, the chief prelate of Ramanya Mahanikaya, along with party's presidential candidate Namal Rajapaksa. Presidential candidate Namal Rajapaksa also received the blessings from the most venerable Thera.
අපි දල්ලා බැලලා ඉවර කරනවා. ඔව් කරේ. ආයි සංගාධික තියෙන්නේ. මේක මාසිකව මුක් කරනවා.
Party switching has emerged as a pivotal issue in the ongoing presidential election, with recent events underscoring the growing tensions. During a broadcast of the Shakti TV's summer program, a heated exchange between two members of parliament from the Tamil Progressive Alliance escalated into a conflict.
Parliamentarians Velukumar and Palani Digambaram, both elected under the Tamil Progressive Alliance or the TPA banner at the last general election, found themselves at odds over recent political realignments. Parliamentarian Velukumar, who recently shifted his support to Ranil Wickremesinghe, faced sharp criticism from his colleague, Parliamentarian Palani Digambaram. The discussion that initially centered on the broader topic of party transfers quickly turned personal and confrontational.
Jeffrey. Please, இங்க ப்ரோகிராமுக்கு வந்திருக்கீங்க. இந்த நிகழ்ச்சிக்கு வந்திருக்கீங்க.
இவர் மட்டும் சொல்லுவாரு. நாங்க சொன்னா இவருக்கு இது. இவர் மட்டும் சொல்லுவாரு.
திகாம்பரம் உட்காருங்க.
இவர் மட்டும் சொல்லுவாரு.
இது மச்சான். அண்ணே. திகாம்பரம். எங்கட ப்ரோகிராமுக்கு வந்திருக்கீங்க. நீங்களே தேவையில்லாம சண்டை பிடிக்கிறீங்க. வாங்க வேலுக்குமார்.
இருக்கேல.
இந்த நிகழ்ச்சியை இந்த நிகழ்ச்சி வேலுக்குமார் உட்காருங்க. தயவு செய்து இந்த வார்த்தைகளை நாங்க நாகரீகமா பயன்படுத்த வேண்டும்.
Presidential candidate of the National People's Power, Anurukumari Dissanayake, pledged that under a government of the NPP, that an assessment of all loans given to farmers will be conducted and an outstanding amounts of those who cannot repay their loans will be written off. He made this statement speaking at a rally held in Galgamuwa today.
Members of the NPP's National Executive Committee were among those who attended this rally held in Galgamuwa today.
There are several issues that farmers in our country are facing today. The price of paddy seeds, bitter gourd, lady's fingers, chili and chili seeds are very expensive. Why is that? It is because we import many of them from overseas. Our farmlands were shut down and our agrarian research institutes were shut down. An NPP government will develop these research institutes, will develop farms that produce seeds and provide high quality seeds at an affordable price to farmers. Next, we have a large system of reservoirs. In the past, even if it rains for several weeks, those reservoirs did not overflow. But what happens today when it rains twice? The reservoir overflows. If it doesn't rain for several weeks, the reservoirs are empty. These reservoirs have deteriorated. We will soon renovate this small and medium scale reservoir system and fix it in a way that a large capacity of water can be retained. We will resolve this issue surrounding water and create an environment where these farmers can cultivate an additional season. We also have an issue where much of the paddy of farmers is wasted after they harvest it. Farmers are heavily indebted to banks. In the past, there was a saying that once a farmer washes away the mud on his body, he is fit to be a king. But today, our farmers cannot travel on the road as he is in debt to everyone. Where is the chain around your neck? It is at the pawn shop. Where is the ring you got on your wedding day? That is also at the pawn shop. Some people have even pawned their water motors. Some people pawn their water pipes. Therefore, we will rescue these farmers from their debt burden. We will give them loans for a minor interest rate. An NPP government will also assess the debts of farmers and write off the debt that farmers cannot pay. Some people think that farmers drink alcohol and come home after they reap their harvest because they are happy. It is not because they are happy, but because they are sad. He reaped the harvest, got a pocket full of cash and used that money to pay his debts on his way back. Wouldn't he be sad when he gets back home? He will be sad. The lives of these farmers must be uplifted. We will rescue them from their debt burdens.
This morning, 150 organizations, including political parties and civil activists, signed a memorandum of understanding to support Sarat Fona, the presidential candidate of the Sammiki Jana Balawegaya.
The event held in Battaramulla saw participation from a diverse group of representatives, including political party members, professionals, industrialists and various business community organizations. These groups came together to pledge their support before the leaders of Sammiki Jana Sandhanaya. Sarat Fona presented a book to the representatives of civil organizations. The book contained questions raised by him in Parliament and the answers provided.
In 2019, we brought in a president who had no political experience and expected him to lead us. After receiving 6.9 million votes, he left office, leaving the country in bankruptcy. We don't have the luxury of retesting leaders now. We are in a critical situation. People are talking about bringing Arjun Mahendran back when someone becomes president. A person with even a small amount of legal understanding will not make such comments. But let's be realistic. Mahendran is a Singaporean citizen and their legal system operates differently. If he is convicted of an offence there, we might have a discussion. But without a treaty, bringing him back to Sri Lanka is unlikely. You know, in Sri Lanka, a case was filed against him, but he was released. So how can we bring him back when he has not been proven guilty? There have also comments being made about establishing a bank that will lend money without any guarantee. Without guarantees, even a village moneylender won't lend 100,000 rupees. So whose policy is this? If we are talking about policies, let's not entertain fantasies. If people believe that these stories will build the country, I urge them to think twice. We can't afford to test leaders without clear plans. One crucial task ahead is stabilizing our income. We know we need to collaborate with the IMF, and by 2029, the government must achieve 15.4% revenue relative to GDP. To meet this goal, tax policies will need adjustments. We will soon explain our tax policy to the public, especially regarding small and medium-sized enterprises, where we plan to encourage exports through favorable tax policies. Next is cost management. We aim to control costs, not make indiscriminate cuts. Subsidies must be targeted to those who need them most. Additionally, we must invest heavily in education and health. Growing the economy by 3% alone won't eradicate poverty. We need a comprehensive strategy.
SJB presidential candidate Sarat Fona said that an administration that respects the constitution will be formed.
පිරිසිදු සුපිරිසිදු අංග සම්පූර්ණ ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදීන් හැටියට විරුදාවලිය ලැබුවත් බලය තිබෙන තැන්වල
Even when those in power are viewed as pure and perfect democrats, power can corrupt when it is misused by those unfit to wield it. Our power must come from the blessings of the people, and we must resist the urge to satisfy our greed for power at all costs. We must be ready to relinquish power just as we are ready to gain it. Our politics should be guided by principles, not by the mere pursuit of power. In this principled approach, we have shown that power is not the highest goal. It is about enlightened service and prioritizing the voice and the will of the people. I promise that we will transform the current situation where democracy and the constitution have been trampled. We will create a government and public service that truly respects the constitution. I also assure you that we do not endorse crony capitalism, and we recognize that extreme leftist and social systems have failed to achieve their goals globally. The best path of our country is to generate wealth through capitalism while ensuring fair distribution through social democracy. This is the most suitable program for our nation's future.
මේ දෙකම මුසු කරගත් මැදමාවත සමාජ වෙළඳපොළ සමාජ ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදී ක්‍රමවේදී මෙන්න මේ වැඩපිළිවෙල තමයි රටට සුදුසුම වැඩපිළිවෙල.
Independent presidential candidate Field Marshal Sarat Fona has pledged to eradicate corruption in the country immediately upon assuming the presidency. A public rally to muster support for Sarat Fona took place in Madirigiriya, Polonnaruwa.
Between 250,000 and 300,000 people are bound to these political parties like slaves. Even if a coconut bark is thrown their way, they'll applaud and follow blindly. When we were children, we used to tie coconuts to cattle and drag them through village forests. If you threw one of those out now, party loyalists would still defend it because of their blind allegiance. It is time to think beyond party loyalty to consider the future of our country and the next generation. We must end this toxic political culture. Before making any decision, ask yourself if the person in question is intelligent and hardworking. But remember, even thieves can be hardworking and creative. I am not talking about degrees. Every one of you has a role to play. If you are not willing to contribute to real change, you might as well retreat to the forest and meditate instead of sitting at home and starving.
Field Marshal Sarat Fona commented on leaving Samakijan Balawegya to work independently.
When you all lined up to oust Gotabaya, the Prime Minister hid and the Cabinet of Ministers fled. Pohottu MPs were sneaking around in disguise, too afraid to even use their own vehicles. During that chaotic time, I stood firm with about 15 other MPs, insisting we should accept the responsibility of government. Even the Speaker would have supported us, but our leader hesitated, making excuses one after another. First, they claimed they couldn't act without a majority. I was deeply shocked and disappointed. I had discussions with our party leader 3 times, urging them to take action, but to no avail. I warned them that if Dallas wins, like Maithripala, he would take control of Pohottu within 48 hours. How can a leader who fails to understand such a simple reality make decisions about the future of our country? My disappointment led me to step away and pursue my own path. Some say I switched parties to gain a ministerial position for my own benefit. Let me be clear, I have never changed parties for personal gain or to satisfy hunger for power.
The private secretary to former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, Sugishwara Bandara, commented to the media.
Anura Kumara Disanayake has made an unfounded claim regarding the events of the 9th May 2022. As the private secretary to the 7th Executive President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, I can confidently state that President Gotabaya never received the letter that the leader of the National People's Power mentioned, allegedly sent on the 12th May 2022. To clarify, on the evening of 9th May, at precisely 7:11 p.m., then Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa extended an invitation to Sajith Premadasa following his resignation. However, there was no response from Premadasa until 6:32 p.m. on the 10th. Later, a delegation led by Salya Piris from the Bar Association, along with Vijayadasa Rajapaksa and Field Marshal Sarat Fona, came on behalf of the opposition leader. However, the leader of the JVP did not participate in these discussions, nor were they reachable by phone. I can categorically state that the letter in question did not arrive on the 12th. I challenge the leader of the National People's Power to produce this letter if it exists.
NPP leader Andru Kumara commented on the matter a day earlier in Colombo.
It
is well known that neither Gotabaya nor Mahinda Rajapaksa invited the National People's Power to form a government. We are not surprised, and frankly, we never expected an invitation. Do you really think the Rajapaksas would just hand over the power to us on a silver platter? It doesn't work that way. We sent a letter to Gotabaya Rajapaksa asking him to allow the National People's Power to take charge and resolve this crisis, and we never got a response. In Parliament, we fought for what we believed in, but with only 3 of us at the time, we had no real power.
Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe was in Kandy last night to witness the final Randoli Perahera of the Asala Maha Perahera that paraded the streets. The President also spoke with the public.
තව අඩු කරන්න ඕනේ නේද? ඔක්කොම තව ශක්තිමත් වෙන්න. අනිවාර්යයෙන් සර් අපේ රටේ තව මොනවාරි රටවල වලට යවුවා නම් හොඳයි නේද සර්? තරුණ ව්‍යවසායකයන්ට අවස්ථාව දුන්නා නම්.
Strengthening the people, fighting for the truth, leading a nation, forging the future. Newsfirst, with the people.
රටක් ලෙස අප හමුවේ ඇති සිහින අනාගතයට අප රැගෙන යන බලාපොරොත්තුවයි. සැපවත් නගරවල මෙන්ම දුප්පත් ගම්මානවල පොදු සිහිනය. යහපත් හෙට දවසක්. ඒ සිහිනය ජයගන්නට එක්ව නැගිටිමු. ගම්මැද්ද රට නගන ජන පෞර.
Welcome back to the news. The Election Commission issued an extraordinary gazette specifying the maximum amount of money that presidential candidates can spend on their campaign activities. According to the newly released guidelines, each candidate is permitted to spend a total of 1,868,298,586 rupees on their campaign. This amount translates to a spending limit of 109 rupees per voter.
The maximum amount that could be incurred by a candidate is 1,868,298,586 rupees only. The extraordinary gazette specifies that 60% of the total expenditure can be directly spent on the presidential candidate, while the remaining 40% can be allocated to the candidate's political party or group. The extraordinary gazette released last night falls under Section 3 of the Regulation of Election Expenditure Act number 3 of 2023. It mandates that all presidential candidates must submit their election expenditure reports to the Election Commission within 21 days following the announcement of the election results.
We held talks with the political party candidates and their representatives on the 16th, and requests for an increase were put forward. There were various spending limits put forward by the candidates. Following discussions, the Election Commission decided that 109 rupees is most suitable, and we announced it by Gazette.
The scroll of memorandum on the successful conclusion of the Asala Perahera was handed over to President Ranil Wickremesinghe today.
The Diyawardena Nilame of Sri Dalada Maligava, Pradeep Nilangadala, handed over the Asala Perahera scroll to President Ranil Wickremesinghe following the conclusion of the Perahera.
සමග මධ්‍යම පළාත් ගරු ආණ්ඩුකාරතුමන්, ජනාධිපති ලේකම්තුමන්, මහනුවර මහදිසාපතිවන මධ්‍යම පළාතේ ගරු ආණ්ඩුකාරතුමන්, ඒ වගේම ගංගවටකෝරළේ ප්‍රාදේශීය ලේකම්තුමන් විසින්
Awards were also presented to artists who added colour to the event.
අතිවිශිෂ්ට තම්මැට්ටම් වාද්‍ය ශිල්පී SG චතුරංග අමරසිරි.
Now, as reported before, the spending limit for each presidential candidate was announced by the Election Commission via an extraordinary gazette. According to the extraordinary gazette, a single candidate can spend a total of 1,868,298,586 rupees on their presidential campaigns. This is 109 rupees per voter and was determined by the Election Commission. Presidential candidate responded to these decisions made by the Election Commission today.
This was the response of the presidential candidate Vijayadasa Rajapaksa.
During the discussions on the spending ceiling for the election, the SJB, the SLPP and the NPP proposed limits in the ranges of 200, 300 and 400 rupees. Myself and Oshada Herat proposed that it should be 20 rupees. The Election Commission has determined that the limit will be set at 109 rupees. The way I see it, the Election Commission has reversed the effect that was expected when this piece of legislation was passed. When 109 rupees is multiplied by 17,100,000, it would amount to over 1,800 million rupees or about 1,860 million. Although 1,860 million rupees has been allocated for 17 million 17,100,000, every candidate will not receive 17,100,000 votes, but they will spend. You must look at it based on the number of votes that you would get. That is the reason why about 20 rupees even for a person who gets 1 million votes, that would be 200 rupees. We included a procedure for all of these to be looked into and for the ceiling to be determined. We gave the Election Commission the power to independently determine that amount. We can see that this law is being misinterpreted and the rates are being calculated wrongly by the Election Commission.
හැබැයි ඒ නියම කිරීමේ බලය ස්වාධීනව මැතිවරණ කොමිෂන් සභාවට තීන්දුවක් ගන්න බලය දීලා තියෙනවා. අපිට පේනවා පැහැදිලි ලෙසම මේ නීතිය අයුතු විදියට අර්ථ නිරූපණය කිරීමක්, වැරදි විදියට ගණන නිගමනය කිරීමක් මැතිවරණ කොමිෂන් සභාව කරලා තියෙනවා.
These are the views expressed by MP Uday Gammanpila.
මේ මුදල හැටියට
According to this, only 1.8 billion rupees can be spent for the upcoming presidential election, but the amount requested by the SJB, JVP, the government and the Puhutu exceeds this amount. They are ready to spend 4 to 5 billion rupees as requested by them. There are two problems that arise due to this. Where is this money from? The presidential election is currently taking place in America. It is mandatory to reveal where they got their money from.
අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම හෙළි කරන්න ඕනේ.
What is the position of the National People's Power?
Well, we would like to. However, the issue is that black money has already started circulating for this election. In some areas, goods are being distributed, people are being given money and MPs are being bought. The Election Commission needs to pay close attention to this. In particular, the President is currently spending the people's tax money and diverting funds from the ministries for his campaign.
Presidential candidate Namal Rajapaksa also expressed his views on this matter.
This is good because we see several accusations being made that a large amount of money is being circulated during an election. These claims affect all political parties. It is good since political parties can avoid such accusations. I also saw that there were talks on bar permits and shed permits recently. There were talks on several privileges. We don't know if this is true, but it is good for a politician to have some sort of regulation.
වෙන එක රටට බක සපයන රජරට තමුත්තේකම කුඩා වෙල්ලන් කඩවල ග්‍රාමී ජනතාව පිරිසිදු පානීය ජලය නොමැතිව බොහෝසී දුක් විඳි කාලය නිමා කරමින් ගම්මැද්දෙන් පානීය ජල පෙරණයක් ලබා දුන් වගයි ගම්මැද්ද රට නගන ජල පෞර
සිම්පත හරියට ලියාපදිංචි කරගෙන තියෙන්න ඕන. සමහර වෙලාවෙම දන්නෙත් නැහැනේ. මේ සිම්පත කොයිතරම් වැදගත්ද කියලා මේ දුරකථන පාවිච්චි කරන හැම දෙනාම දන්නේ නැහැ කියලා තමයි මම කියන්නේ. මැයි වලින් පස්සේ ලොකු ගම් වතුර තත්ත්වයක් එන්න නියමිතයි කියලා. කාලගුණ විද්‍යාඥයින් අනතුරුංග වන පසුබිමක ඔබ කොයි විදිහටද මේ අපේ තෙත්බිම් සම්බන්ධයෙන් දකින්නේ?
කොළඹ නගරයේ තියෙන නාගරික තෙත්බිම් වලින් 21%ක් තියෙන නාගරික තෙත්බිම් වලින් වැසි ජලයෙන් 39%ක් රඳවා ගන්න බව.
දැන් වෙළඳ නගරයේ කටයුතු කරන කට්ටිය දැන් එනවා පරිපාලනය නගරයට. ඔතන මේ දන්න හැටි අපි ගත්තොත් අරවටුකොට එහෙම නැත්නම් කිඹුලවල ප්‍රදේශයේ අපිට තියෙනවා රැයට කෑම කඩ. ඉස්සර ඒක තිබ්බ කොහෙද? කොළඹ. දැන් ගොඩ දෙනෙක් මේ පැත්තට එන්න පටන් ගන්නවා. මොකද ඒගොල්ලන්ට අර පොළ පාට ගතිය. ඒ තියෙන බ්‍රීස් එකේ කියන්නේ ඇඟට දැනෙන වෙනස අනිවාර්යෙන් දැනෙනවා.
ජාතික මෙහෙවර සතියේ දිනවල උදෑසන 11ට.
Welcome back to the news. The National Visionary Summit, Strategic Growth for Rebuilding the Nation, was held in Colombo today. The National Visionary Summit was organized by the National Council of Professionals. Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa attended the event as the keynote speaker.
And we believe that we are the perfect team to deliver on all fronts: reform, relief, development, growth, poverty alleviation, and empowerment as a whole. Soon, we will launch our updated version of the economic blueprint, named From Stability to Growth. Ladies and gentlemen, we must learn from the past. Same people doing the same thing will not produce different results. And we don't have time to experiment with models that are proven failures. We have a huge responsibility, both as policymakers and as businesses and members of the industry. Let us be pragmatic about our future. We must firmly believe that it is possible to come out of this difficult situation and secure our future. I'm certain together we can overcome.
Sri Lanka is set to host the Central Asia Forum tomorrow.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, in collaboration with geopolitical cartographer, will hold the Central Asia Forum on the 21st of August 2024 in Colombo. With its strategic location, Central Asia is poised to play an important role in the future of Eurasian connectivity. The event is expected to offer perspectives and insights that will shape the future of Sri Lanka's engagement with the region. Comprising 2 sessions, the event is set to explore the strategic role of Central Asia in Eurasia and beyond, with particular emphasis on the emergence of new transport and logistics corridors. As Sri Lanka seeks to strengthen its economic ties with this region, the forum will also delve into the opportunities and challenges that lie ahead, with a special focus on building synergies that can drive mutual growth and prosperity. The forum is being held following a recent decision to establish a resident diplomatic mission of Sri Lanka in Kazakhstan and the conclusion of Foreign Office consultations with Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan and Turkmenistan. Secretary to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Aruni Vijayawardena, will provide opening remarks, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs, M.U.M. Ali Sabri, will deliver an address at the event highlighting Sri Lanka's priorities in the region. This event will bring together policymakers, thought leaders, business persons and experts.
The digital launch of smart classrooms powered by Canon and Metropolitan took place in Colombo today.
The launch of www.printatona.lk by Mr. Toshiyuki Ishii, President CEO of Canon Singapore Private Limited.
The digital launch of smart classrooms powered by Canon and Metropolitan is a project launched in partnership with World Vision. 3 remote schools representing diverse communities were equipped with the latest technology to create and develop smart classrooms and promote and recognize education, breaking the cycle of poverty. Director CEO of the Metropolitan Group, Ali Asghar Roshan Ali, expressed his views speaking to Newsfirst following the event.
We are extremely privileged and delighted to be partnering with World Vision Lanka to have this CSR activity powered by Canon. I think in order to commemorate this 50-year partnership between Canon and Metropolitan, it is an apt thing to do to empower the children of Sri Lanka and to give them smart classrooms so that they can develop their education into the future. Children, when they are in school, is when they are most protected. So we need to give the schools the infrastructure to help guide the children for a better tomorrow. So we are absolutely thrilled to be partnering with this event.
National Director of World Vision Lanka, Dr. Danan Senthiraja, expressed his views on the project.
We at World Vision value partnerships. We realize the power of partnerships, and through collaboration and partnership with others, we can make an impact in the lives of the most vulnerable children. Today, we celebrate our partnership with Canon and Metropolitan as we have provided ICT equipment and a smart classroom to 3 different schools among the 3 communities in Sri Lanka. And it has been quite a successful partnership, and it brought tears to my eyes when I saw that those children who have never even seen a computer before are now engaged in it. It has increased their level of interest in their studies, and this, I'm sure, will go on to develop that community and lift them out of poverty and bring them into the fullness of life.
CEO of Canon Singapore, Toshiyuki Ishii, emphasized on Canon's partnership with Metropolitan.
Canon's partnership with Metropolitan goes beyond the business success, as we have a shared commitment to corporate social responsibility and sustainable practices. We are dedicated to making a positive impact on the communities we serve and ensuring that our growth benefits both people and the planet.
The event also marks the 50-year partnership between Canon and Metropolitan.
On to some more local news. There's an ongoing debate regarding the debate among presidential candidates that is being organized by People's Action for Fair and Free Elections, or PAFREL. Several presidential candidates say that they will take the matter to courts if the debate is not held in a fair and just manner. PAFREL announced yesterday that 6 presidential candidates have been invited to attend the debate.
We have invited 6 candidates who have the backing of several members of parliament. We have invited President Ranil Wickremesinghe as he is a candidate. We have also invited Sajith Premadasa, Anura Kumara Disanayaka, Dilip Jayawira and Namal Rajapaksa. We have also invited Arya Nethran, the candidate contesting the election representing the Tamil community. 2 mainstream candidates have already expressed their willingness to attend this debate.
Presidential candidate Janaka Ratnayaka today lodged a complaint at the Election Commission regarding this debate.
When 6 candidates are chosen like this, it is unjust to the remaining 33 candidates. This debate will promote these 6 candidates in an undue manner, as all media institutions will also be covering this debate. This is unjust to the other candidates. We informed the Commissioner General about this injustice and we lodged our objection to it. We requested the Election Commission to cancel this immediately, and if that is not done, we will go to the Supreme Court and take steps to stop this debate. Koshala Herath, presidential candidate of the new Independent Front, also lodged a complaint with the Election Commission against this debate today. When there are 39 candidates, it is their duty to invite all 39 and ask them who would wish to participate. Most of them might not participate, but for us, we want that opportunity to announce our plan to the entire society. We have a plan, a definite plan. We have a method, and we want to communicate that to the country. It is for the people to decide, not for the organizations like PAFREL. The same organizations advocate for an equal playing field to be created and depriving all candidates an equal opportunity.
This was a response of presidential candidate Roshan Ranasinghe.
I strongly condemn the conduct of PAFREL. I reject this in disgust. This is a huge black mark on PAFREL. The Chamber of Commerce had also attempted to give an opportunity only to several candidates to present their economic plan. They are impliedly promoting several candidates. They are providing them with an opportunity to artificially influence the people. Do not do this. This is a violation of our fundamental rights. We will file legal action if this continues.
3 patients who had completely lost their sight after they were administered with substandard medicine imported into the country have sued several individuals, including former Minister of Health Kelly Rambukwella, in the Colombo High Court.
The suit for damages was filed on behalf of the plaintiffs, including Marika Rajaratnam, a resident of Kandapola. The plaintiffs had prayed for damages amounting to a sum of 100 million rupees each. Former Secretary of the Ministry of Health, Janaka Sri Chandragupta, former Chairman of the Medicines Regulatory Authority, Dr. S.G. Jayaratna, Dr. Vijitha Gunasekara, Director General of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Asela Gunawardana, eye specialist Dr. Rohan Edirisinghe, and the Attorney General were named as defendants in this case.
On Eagle's Wings, a program to provide a structured roadmap for impact investment, alleviating SMEs and SMPs into key economic drivers, was held in Colombo recently.
The Newsfirst Finance Report.
On Eagle's Wings was conducted with the aim of increasing awareness on the benefits of the program and to attract potential partners who are interested in supporting SMEs.
One of the things which I've witnessed during my career is lack of commitment to research and development for SMEs. And the research and development and innovation cannot be supported by high-cost financing. It has to be on a long-term 10-year horizon for if SMEs to innovate and spend money on research and development, naturally it has to come through equity investment. Apart from the capital market, we did not have a thriving private equity market for MSME. That's one of the reasons that SMEs continue to operate in a mediocre level and does not reach that scalability that needs to be reached as a commercially viable entities short, mid and the long term.
In Sri Lanka, private sector micro, small and medium enterprises or MSMEs contribute over 50% of the country's GDP. It also employs about 45% of the total working age population of the country. And in recent data from the Department of Census and Statistics, they say that there are about 1 million or more micro, small and medium enterprises in Sri Lanka today. They illustrate how pivotal these MSMEs are to Sri Lanka's development and to the growth and to the performance of the private sector. Sustainability of these same micro, small and medium enterprises is crucial, especially given the impact of COVID, the 2022 financial and economic crisis, and then climate change, which adds again another layer of concern for these small businesses. But the effects of climate change are not merely economic, as we all know. They affect people's lives, especially those who are vulnerable, particularly women and youth, who depend on MSMEs for their livelihood. With limited financial resources, access to technology, access to information, businesses and the people that depend on these businesses are in a dire situation as they seek really to try to adapt to the effects of climate change to a certain degree very alone. That's why the business community is such a catalyst in this battle. It can foster innovation, it can foster capital mobilization, and advance Sri Lanka's adaptation to climate change.
This event also featured a panel discussion and several other interactive sessions. TV1 was the media partner for the event.
The Newsfirst Finance Report.
Today marked day 55 of the LOLC Divish Savia program.
The LOLC Divisavya program to provide free exercise books and school equipment for a year to students in government schools with less than 150 students took place centering the Galle district today. This program aims to support the educational needs of students in smaller schools. The distribution took place this morning at Gallandala Kanishta Vidyalaya, Halvitigala Janapada Kanishta Vidyalaya, Talangala Kanishta Vidyalaya, Kadewattal Miran Saubhagya Kanishta Vidyalaya, Nandimitra Kanishta Vidyalaya and at Dihalawada Vijay Kanishta Vidyalaya. Students of these schools received books and other essential educational materials. In addition, the Divisavya program was implemented in the Udukama and Galle zonal education offices. LOLC Divisavya program continues to work towards the future of the nation's children, providing vital support to enhance their learning experiences.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News on TV1 for tonight.
Thank you for watching.
Good night.